Hey friends, happy Saturday, the 26th of March. It's nice to pray with you for a moment. I'm Father Bill Hill, one of the parish priests at Holy Spirit Catholic Community in Rock Springs, Wyoming. If you work regular work weeks, I hope that today is a day of rest and recreation for you, a day of renewal in the goodness of God. A few parish announcements. Please do the Disciple Maker Index. If you're a member of Holy Spirit, it's linked on the sidebar. If you're catching this on Saturday morning, if you're married, if you'd like to join Marriage Encounter at 9 to noon over at Immaculate Conception. They're doing an enrichment for married people. What else? Knights of Columbus are doing a March for Life this morning up at the old hospital near the cemetery where Inside Connection Crisis Pregnancy Center is now located. And be praying for education and everybody involved that these last 2 days of spring break may be blessed and may be gifts for them. I'll give you a daily reflection. The readings are linked on the sidebar, and then I invite you to turn off your screen, spend some time with God. We've got Hosea the prophet. We've got Luke's gospel, pretty famous, pretty well-known parable of the tax collector and the Pharisee. So Hosea's gospel. It's God who has rent us, struck us this blow. It's an image of Lent, right? God who is calling us to come down off of our own pedestal and to see ourselves clearly, that God is the one that's inviting us into conversion. And it is going to be painful for a period. In Hosea, we hear the prophecy of 3 days, which is interpreted as a prophecy of Jesus' death and time in the tomb, and then resurrection 3 days later. What I was praying with was towards the end, criticizing the people because their piety passes away like the morning dew. You know, and you can think, God willing, here in a few months we'll have a morning dew, right? It sits there, but then as soon as the warmth comes, as soon as the sun comes, it disappears. And God's saying that the people's piety is there, they love God, and then they just evaporate. And that's why at the end of it, Hosea says, I want love, not sacrifice. You know, and it's I want change of action. I want the heart, not just a few behaviors that make a person look religious. So, you know, we might pray with seeing what Hosea might be calling us to conversion, to change, to renewal in this Lenten journey. And certainly speaking of conversion, we hear that in the story of the tax collector and the Pharisee in Luke's gospel. Our prayer is not about telling God all the great things about ourselves, and especially when we need to be honest about ourselves and honest about how we are experiencing God or the present time. Sometimes it might be tears. Sometimes it might be anger. Sometimes it might be the beating of the breast. Sometimes it might be bragging, right? And it's not, oh God, look at all the great things that I've done, but it could be, wow, God, like this week, this day was amazing, and I am so grateful because everything that happened was you. And I feel awesome on top of the world, and I am grateful for you, right? That's like bragging in God. That's Paul talking about boasting in God, something like that. So it's funny, right? Jesus is telling a scandalous story. And he says, when you pray, don't be like the spiritual heroes. Don't be like that Pharisee who everybody would have wanted to be like. Paul was a Pharisee. Jesus either was a Pharisee or right next to a Pharisee. He's like, instead, you know who you should pray like? You should pray like the sinners. You should pray like the people you spit on when you see them going to church, because at least they know who they are and they go home justified. It's a fascinating parable by Jesus that hopefully is going to challenge us all sorts of different ways, which is all part of it. And it's all part of this Lenten journey. So enough of me running my mouth. You read those readings. See what the Holy Spirit of the living God is doing in your heart today. Make sure you spend a little bit of time with God in silence. Happy Saturday, friends. God bless you.